All right. Good morning, everybody. I am so glad that you guys are here. My name is Margaret Gade. I am one of the productivity coaches in Arvada, Colorado. And I don't know if my fellow coaches are with me, but I coach with Corey Holtman, who's also in Arvada. And then we have Jody Dolph and Karen Haidman out of Foothills and Kelly Gibbs out of Castle Rock. So those are our sister market centers. And so we kind of came together and came up with this idea. And I reached out to a bunch of my friends and said, will you help me? And so our goal today is to bring in people who started their real estate careers as dual career agents. I think at least a couple of them are still dual career agents, and they're all rock stars. Okay. Meaning they've had high performance. I believe one of you was at least rookie of the year. Am I right? Yep, I thought so. So this panel is full of experience. They've been where you are as a dual career agent trying to do it all. And so they're going to talk a little bit. Again, I want to remind everyone, if your screen says that you are Margaret Gade, would you please change it? Because I don't need to register that I was here 5 times today. So with that, I'm going to ask our panelists to start with introducing themselves, right? Their name, where they're from. You're going to find they're from all over the country. And just tell us a little bit about either the job you had when you decided to become a real estate agent and do dual career, or if you are still dual career, what are you doing? So I'm going to start with just the way they're lined up on my screen. So Erin, why don't you go first?
Hi, my name is Erin Winiger, and I am in Helena, Montana. Prior to being a full-time real estate agent, I was a hairstylist for 16 years. That afforded me the ability to work full-time in a 3-day-a-week time frame. So doing dual career was definitely a little bit more manageable time-wise, but certainly felt like I was working all the time.
And one more question, Erin. How long did you work in real estate as a dual career agent?
I was dual career for about a year and a half.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Hutcherson. I live in Evergreen, Colorado. I'm still a dual career. I have a Mac, it's called MacWorks. I'm a consultant for Mac computers. So anybody that needs troubleshooting with their Apple devices, I help them here after having worked with Apple. So I do that, and I am continuing being a dual career, and we'll see how long that lasts, but it's super hard to give up my clients. So I'm going to keep that going as long as I can.
Fantastic. All right, Teresa. You're muted.
Sorry, I had a pop up on my screen that I had to do something with. Again, just a quick reminder, everyone who's not muted, mute yourself because the background noise distracting. So I'm Teresa Quick White, and I am in the Colorado Springs area. I started my business at the Denver West Golden office in 2015, and I was the Rookie of the Year there as a dual career agent. And my career I was in construction pretty much all of my adult life, so a long time. So, and I was the office manager of a bath and kitchen remodel company when I decided to go into real estate, and I made the transition in just over a year. And I teach a class about that, being Rookie of the Year. And Margaret, I think you've been to it. I've taught at your market center, right? So just how do you do Rookie of the Year as a dual career agent? And you do it tired is how you do it.
Yeah. So Erin and Carla, get her on Zoom, because that class that she's talking about, it's got a Superman or Superwoman theme. I remember that. And it's a really great class.
Zero to Hero.
Zero to Hero. All right, Carla.
I love that. I will second the tired thing for sure. I am Carla Higgins, and I am in Indianapolis, Indiana, out here in the Midwest. And I got my real estate license in July of 2018, and I was the national practice coordinator for a property tax consulting company. We filed appeals all around the country of people's property taxes to lower their expense. So basically, I made rich people richer. So that's what I did when I got my license. And I also was Rookie of the Year my first year as a dual career agent. And my full-time job at the time was about a 60-hour-a-week job. So I'm all about that tired thing, Teresa.
Wow. Okay. So does everybody who's on the call know what Rookie of the Year is and what it takes to do it? Okay. We don't need to go over it. All right. Basically, it's a big deal, right? It is a big deal. And it's not something that you can do with just one or two transactions or a couple $1,000s in income. So, okay. So somebody see the other Margaret Gade wants to know. So Rookie of the Year is a agent who in their first 12 months with their real estate license has the highest production. And I believe that you have to do at least you have to cap to qualify. So you're looking at about 2.1, $2.3 million in volume and in your first 12 months. Now think about that. That's challenging in some of the markets and even here for agents in the Denver area to do as a full-time agent, right? And we got ladies on here who have done it for, as part-time. So I think we got some things to learn from these guys. Do you guys all agree? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask them some questions. We are going to save time at the end. So if you've got a question for one of these guys, please just write it down. And when we get to the end, we'll open it up. Fair enough? All right, here we go. All right. So I'm going to do it backwards. So Carla, how did you get started in real estate and what inspired you to pursue it alongside your other career?
Awesome. Well, I was in real estate. So I just mentioned I was a property tax consultant. So I worked with commercial industrial property owners. So I knew real estate. When I turned 50, I knew I couldn't keep doing that. It was really just sucking the life out of me. It's a business based on conflict, and it wasn't filling a why for me. And my why had always been my children, and that job was awesome. It provided me the opportunity to send my kids to college and all kinds of things. But my kids were gone. I had no why anymore, and making rich people richer wasn't going to be it. So for my 50th birthday, I got started real estate school, and I got my license in July of 18. And then, I had to pay the bills. So I had to figure out how to do both for a while. Plus it took a minute to get out of that business because I had been in it for 20 years. So a little bit of time to transition out. And so I was a dual career agent from July of 18 until December of 2022. And did I answer your questions? Yeah.
Yes. And in some ways you kind of still are dual career, right?
Well, I am, because if you can't tell, I am Margaret is one of my my people I look up to, because I'm also a productivity coach in the Indianapolis market. I coach with 3 market centers.
And you have a staging business.
Oh, yes. And I have a staging business. When you work 60 hours a week, you don't know how to give that up, right?
Can't keep track. Exactly. All right, Karen, tell us how you got started in real estate and why do it with something else going on.
No, my incentive was my kids. They're at the age where they're going to be buying real estate, and I really wanted to help them out. And then that led into friends and family. And I always say that I have 4 part-time jobs. We have investment properties, so we have 2 rentals. So I manage those 2 rentals. I do MacWorks and I do real estate. So I just wanted to learn more about our investing practices. And I love to learn. That's one of my favorite things to do. And I've always been interested in real estate in one form or another. So I checked in with a lot of people, a lot of experienced realtors, and asked if this was viable, and they all encouraged me, and I thought it was a great thing to do. So I think 14 months later, it's been lovely.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. All right, Teresa, how'd you get here?
Well, we were beginning to buy investment property. We now have 6 rentals. One is an Airbnb, but so my husband was encouraging me, but I wasn't quite sure I wanted to do it. One day I was sitting at the office and I had this really super intense boss, and he was upset about something, and he came in and he just ranted and raved at me for like 40 minutes because he was so upset, and it got me so upset that I went home and I threw up. And that was the day that I went, Steve's right, I need to become a realtor because I can't allow somebody else to have my peace ever again. And I'm friends with him today, but he's a great person, but not a great boss. So that's why I made the decision, surprisingly enough.
Awesome. All right. And Erin, how about you?
So my former husband had encouraged it from time to time, and my friend Aubrey, whose team I am on now, I had chatted with her about it for several years, but just was not sure. I wasn't quite wanting to be responsible for somebody's typically like largest purchase of their life. I was like, that's a lot of responsibility. I don't know that I want to do that. But then COVID hit, and as a stylist, I was shut down for about a month and couldn't work. And I found that I didn't actually miss the act of doing hair, but what I missed was my clients and spending time with them. And I really liked working with people. And so I thought, well, how can I make good money, still fulfill my desire to work with people and help them, and also have it be less taxing on my body? So I enrolled for the my real estate exam and license, and it took me a little while to get it, only because I'm an overachiever and want to make sure I'm 100% ready before I take the test. But yeah, so then I did both for a while, and actually it was about 2 years that I did dual agent, but I was fortunate enough to join a team about 4 months into joining real estate, and that was a really great place for me to land, and I'm still on that team today.
Fantastic. All right. So for all of you that are participants, now that I think we've got everybody here, if you could do us a really big favor, jump into the chat. And I would love it if you would tell us what market center you're associated with, if you're from Keller Williams. If you are not with Keller Williams, if you could tell us where you live, because I believe we have people here from across the country and we want to know where everybody's from. So if you guys could just really quick jump into the chat. Again, if your name on the bottom of your screen says Margaret Gade, please update it so we know who you are. Okay. As a matter of fact, there was just one that said I was there. So awesome. Okay. Next question to our panelists. Trying to balance. I wrote in the original question 2 careers, but for some of you, it's multiples, right? So balancing multiple careers is really quite challenging. How do you effectively manage your time, or how did you, between the different careers? So this time, I think I'm going to start with Karen.
That has been a trick. It's not been easy to figure out how to do a balance. And for me, it's about time blocking and recognizing you can't do it all, figuring out what you're good at, stick with it. I think it's important to identify what your focus is going to be, pick 3 of those things, and time blocking those activities. And for me, I've learned now things have to be non-negotiable. So if exercise is important to me or family life is important to me, I have to time block those things in as well. And then just create a balance between my consulting business, again, just transitioning that to 1 day a week, and just recognizing that counterbalancing is the act. Balance, I think, is a misnomer. I don't think balance is something sustainable. It's always counterbalancing. And so when you're off in one degree, you have to counterbalance that with something else. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Miss Erin.
I agree with Karen. I don't believe that you ever really achieve balance. I think life is a give and take. And, sometimes you're giving more in one area and then you're taking more in another, and then you're just kind of constantly doing this. But I think boundaries are a big thing to help balance time. I don't think that I was good at time blocking per se, but was pretty good and honest really with, either my salon clients or my real estate clients of like, hey, I have another job during these hours of the day, so I can get back to you here, here, and here. So knowing that both people were taken care of, but maybe not in the timeline that they wanted. So just setting up those boundaries. And really, when I was at the salon, I didn't have a ton of opportunity to do real estate while I was with a client. But I would then go into the back room and like type offers and call people back. And so I just felt like I was working all the time, so you got like a head full of color processing, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay, you want to negotiate that? Oh great. Or there's mold in the, whatever. And so it was fascinating for a while. But eventually I got to the place where I didn't feel like I could serve both sets of clientele to the level and integrity that I wanted to. And so that was one of the reasons why I made the really hard decision to leave my salon clients and do real estate full time.
Awesome. All right, Teresa.
Well, I I have to say I was not good at that my first year, my rookie year. I was working a job and I did 22 transactions. And so my husband was very neglected. And one time he got very upset with me, and I was on the way to Colorado Springs from Denver because I was building my business down here to move home to Colorado Springs. And I called my production coach. Production coaches are so important. And I just said, my husband had a meltdown, and he said, that's not good. You need to get leverage. And so I added leverage, like I would pay people to show houses for me, and I added a transaction coordinator. That's when I added that. And so like I said, I built it tired. And then I also went part-time on my job just over halfway through the year because I just couldn't do it all. So I sat down with my boss and proposed to him that my part-time assistant go full-time at that job and that I go part-time. And that worked for another 6 to 7 months before he and I both agreed it was time for me to transition out. But I wasn't good at it. I was always tired. I worked too many hours.
Okay, I love it. Carla, there might be a reason why I held you to the end. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think you can get over you can make it work. You can be dual career. I have agents that I coach right now that are very successful dual career agents who intend to always be dual career agents. And that's fine. They love their other job, and this is something that adds to it. The key to this is schedule. You have to know what your work hours are, right? You know what your work hours are at one job. You need to know what your work hours are at your real estate job, and you need to know what your non-work hours are. That goes back to what everyone else here was saying about boundaries and those kind of things, right? And then you have to stick to it. So, time blocking is a word that we throw around a lot, and time blocking is super important. But if you don't know what your schedule is, you can't time block. So you need to start with a schedule, know exactly what your hours are, where they're available, and then know what your job responsibilities are. You have job responsibilities as a real estate agent, just like you have job responsibilities at your other job. And so you need to be really clear about what those are. And I know, Margaret, if you're coaching with Margaret, I know you know this, but there are 5 of them, right? And those 5, you have to have room for those 5 things on your calendar: script practice, conversation practice. You got to build your skills. You got to lead generate, you got to lead follow up. You got to go have time to go on appointments, and you have to negotiate contracts so that you get paid, right? That's your job. If you find that you're doing things that aren't those 5 things, you got to be very selective about the time that you spend as a dual career agent, and make sure that it is concentrated, right? It's concentrated what's going to get you the most. So if you're doing things like spending 4 hours building your website, then you probably didn't concentrate your time on what's going to make you successful. So I would say know your schedule and then prioritize your activities within the time that you have blocked. And I'm all about boundaries, like Erin said. So you set expectations with your clients. This is when I'm available. And then leverage. See, Teresa was awesome too. Then you need to add leverage.
Absolutely. So for those of you that are productivity coaches that are on this call, Carla did a teaching session down at a coaching skills camp that a bunch of us got to go to. Call her, have her come teach your people about time blocking and time management, or whatever words you want to use. It was very impactful to me, and we will be bringing it to Arvada. I promise that. So again, I still see a lot of Margaret Gades on the screen. So if your name on the bottom left of your screen says Margaret Gade, please hit the 3 dots in the upper right hand of your screen and change your name so we know who you are. Okay, I'm going to jump around a little bit just because I can. So this next one is, what are your most successful lead generation strategies that you're using in your real estate businesses? So I don't even know who I haven't started with. So Carla, I'm going to let you go.
Oh, that's fun. I like going first. That way everybody else doesn't steal mine. All right. Most important thing with lead generation as a dual career agent, really as any agent, is to make sure, again, you're concentrating your efforts. You need to start with your database. They already know you, like you, trust you. Those are the easy ones, right? And they want to help you. Whatever your goal is, share with them what your goal. If your goal is to transition from your full-time job into real estate full-time, and enlist them as your, your marketing partners and your thing. So first and foremost is always going to be database. And if you're at Keller Williams, you have an amazing tool which gives you that leverage that Teresa was talking about, because those are called SMART plans, and they will work for you when you are at your other job, which is beautiful. My second thing is that pick one other thing. I know Gary tells us 3 to 5 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. You can have 3 to 5 lead generation levers, if you will, pillars. But as a dual career agent, I am convinced that you need one other. For me, it was open houses. I had an open house system. It involved an hour and a half on Monday, an hour on Tuesday, 2 hours on Wednesday, an hour on Thursday. Then I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If I got everything I needed done Friday, Saturday, I didn't have to work Sunday the next week. And so my goal was to work my system for my open houses so well that I got to take Sundays off. So that was my 2 things: database, open house.
Awesome. All right, Erin.
Manan. So I would say a lot of it was just me being me in the community and making sure that I was talking to people and letting people know that I was in real estate. I chatted with my clients. I'm sorry, I'm totally distracted. Whoever is in the white sweatshirt with the American bar site, do you mind muting yourself? You keep popping up as the main person on the screen, and I am just so easily distracted. My apologies. Thanks for that.
And if you could change your name from Margaret Gade to whoever you are, that would be good too.
Thank you. So yeah, just truly being me. I found a lot of success in, I guess if you could say oh.
Erin, you just went to mute.
Am I good now?
You're good now.
Okay, sorry. So basically showing up as me, sharing with people that I was in real estate. Because I was on a team, I also found a lot of success in mining in our database, reaching out to people, doing market reviews on their houses, just saying, hey, I'm in real estate. This is what's happening in the community. It's not as organized as a system as I would maybe like it to be, but it works. And I guess I just trust that whatever I choose that day will have the effect and impact that it needs to on whoever. But I think the most successful lead generation is the one that you're going to do. And I know like we hear that all the time in Family Reunion and Mega Camp, but it really is like whatever one you're going to do is the one that you should be doing and focusing on.
Fantastic. All right, Karen.
So for me, again, just like you two, it's SOI. For me, we've lived up in Evergreen for 30 years. I have a lot of contacts, so I specifically reach out to them on a consistent basis. I also identify who are my super connectors in my database. So I know those chatty people. I know those people that are well connected, and I really treat them just a little bit better than others. And I do like quarterly mail outs with something of value to them, or I really touch them a little bit more often. So I love working with them. And it's not just about how they can help me. It's really about them and just communicating more with them. And then I agree with Erin, pick just a couple of things, and do them well and do them consistently. I will probably never be the cold caller and the door knocker, and those are okay if you're into that, but I'm going to focus on what I like to do and what I'm good at, and I will just continue that.
Fantastic. I had to mute myself because we're building a fire pit for an event later today in the house. Teresa, really quick, what successful lead strategies have you incorporated?
Well, the first year I did everything because I needed to figure out what I was good at and what was going to yield leads to me. Currently, for the last several years, it's really my sphere. I have a really strong 36 touch. It's really like 100 and something touch that I stay top of mind. Even if they don't open the email, they see my name in their email. And I do events. I have 3 great events a year. I do a movie night. I do a big open house at my house. And then I also do pumpkin pie giveaway. So I see them once a year. That's a big deal. And so my sphere is really big. I also get quite a few agent referrals. And I think a lot of that is Facebook, and it's things like doing zero to hero. I've taught that at 10 market centers. And so when I go up and I sew into people, then when they think of Colorado Springs, they think of me because I don't charge for the class. So that's something that I do just because I want to help people be great. And then finally, lenders. I don't use a lender that does not refer business to me. And so I have 2 or 3 lenders that actually give me business. Right now I'm working with 2 or 3 clients that came from lenders. So if your vendors don't give you business, you need to learn how to ask them for business. That's very important.
I love that one. I love that one. Okay, so how do you, when you're working these dual careers, like I can read the minds of these panelists, of the participants today, right? And it's, well, that's great. I'm working a full-time job and this lead gen sounds great, but how do you find the time, right? How do you fit it into your busy schedules? And so I'm going to start with Erin.
Oh, how did I find the time? I guess it's kind of like working out, and you just have to do it, right? So you just have to maybe even like 15 minutes, and I'm going to send 5 text messages to people. Hey, how's it going? Thinking of you today, how, and engaging in like, how is work going for you? Because usually it asking that question reverts the question back to you. And then I would say something like, oh, it's like work has been great. I've been, really enjoying being in real estate as well. It's a fun new adventure. And I wouldn't ask for their business then, but I would just let people know that I was in real estate in really subtle ways. So if you can't sit down and do a 2-hour time block to make the 50 calls all in once, like that's really overwhelming. Chunk it down into a really small step, and then just make sure you're like dropping the seed in there that you're in real estate without asking for business, because that can be off-putting to people if they think that you're calling them for real estate purposes. That's going to be a turnoff to most people, where if you just kind of casually mention in that you're in real estate, it can often spark a deeper conversation to where now they're asking you questions about it, versus you trying to be salesy on them.
I love it. Plus, we know that you negotiate contracts in the bathroom at the hair salon. Okay, so
the back room, not the
Carla,
bathroom,
right?
the back
I'm gonna
room.
Exactly. I'm going to go to Carla.
Well, it really comes down to, we just heard from Tim Tebow at Mega Camp, and there was something that he said that really stuck with me. And it was that passion requires sacrifice, right? If this is something that you really want in your life and your passion, then you're passionate about it. You have to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice? Or I was willing to sacrifice my Saturdays, not for all of my Saturdays, but I did open houses on Saturdays, right? So I sacrificed my Saturday to make it work alongside my other job. And if I had to, I didn't want to, but if I had to, I sacrificed Sunday. So if I didn't get in all my contacts for the week, then I knew I was going to have a Sunday open house as well. And so I created that that expectation for myself. And then it all goes back to schedule, right? And what I said earlier, which is making sure you're doing the right things. If you're doing things that aren't likely to lead you where you want to be, then you wasted your time. So it's really about efficiency of your time as well. So we all have the same 24 hours. I don't think anybody here has more than 24 hours, right? Leverage can make you feel like you have a little bit more than 24 hours, but we only have 24 hours. And there's certain things you can't sacrifice. You know, at Keller Williams, we are God, family, and business. We are not going to sacrifice our family for our business, right? So you gotta have all that in place. So
I love that. I had a coaching event I went to earlier this summer, and it was kind of that same thing. The coach on the stage was asking, people that were up there, he was doing a live coaching session. I mean, it was kind of intense and it was awesome. But one of the things he said was, well, if it doesn't happen, then what? And that is exactly what you did, right? If you didn't get done what you needed to Monday through Saturday, you worked on Sunday. Right. If you got it all done, then you got to do the laundry on Sunday. Right. So, and have some fun. So I think that's just a great mindset piece. And when you do that, it gives you that sense of urgency. Right. I remember the gal on the stage was they went camping every weekend. And I know we have some of you on this screen that are big campers. You go almost every weekend. And if she didn't get her contacts in Monday through Friday, she had to stay and work on Saturday till she got her contacts in, and then she could go camping. Right. But to set that in your own mindset and to have a coach that helps hold you accountable to that, or a partner, is absolutely huge. So great reference to that. Thanks, Carla. All right, Teresa.
So for me, my first year as a dual career agent, I was more like Erin. I fit it in my life. Two of my first year transactions came out of my construction job. The production manager from our office told me he was going to buy a place, and I said, hey, I have a secret. I actually got my real estate license. And so he used me, the electrician used me, because if they were talking in the office or in our showroom and they brought up real estate, I would say, hey, I became an agent. And so, and I would talk, I put a lot of posts on Facebook once I stopped working. I do a lot of Facebook posts just telling stories. I love to tell stories on Facebook. And my first year, I used Facebook Messenger. I sat down one Saturday and I typed out on Facebook Messenger everyone I knew in Colorado Springs, because I was trying to move back down here. And I said, how are you? It's been so long since we've talked, the sandwich method. Then I'd say, just so you know, I've become a real estate agent, and my husband's now doing remodel construction. So if you want to buy a house, sell a house, or remodel a house, would you think of us? And let's get together soon, sandwich. And I think I got like 8 transactions out of that. I spent a whole Saturday doing that. So I highly recommend that.
Okay, so can you explain to our friends, what do you mean by a sandwich? Is this ham and cheese, or what is this?
Oh, ham and cheese is my favorite. Yes. So the bread is hey, it's been so long since we talked. How's your mom? How's your son? How's everything going with the kids? So I started out with that, and then I put the little real estate blurb. And then at the end, I would say, I miss you. Can we have coffee soon? Or, something to say goodbye. So something personal on both sides of the real estate message.
And what was your little blurb? Because I see pens flying. What was the little blurb that you put in the middle?
So I said, just so you know what's going on with us, I've become a realtor and I'm super excited. And Steve has now started his own remodel construction business. My husband's a general contractor. And so if you're thinking of buying a home, selling a home, or remodeling a home, would you please think of me or think of us? And then that's all. And I copied and pasted it. I did it on my computer so I could copy and paste really easy. And then the personal message on either side was tailored for the person.
I love that. Right. So you guys all got it? All right. Finally, Karen, how do you, because you're still dual career, how do you incorporate taking care of our Mac users and being a real estate agent? How are you doing that?
Um, You know, for me, I heard a podcast, and I'm stealing this line from them, is they talk about your priorities, figuring first of all what your priorities are. That's lead gen always. So I schedule my priorities. I don't prioritize my schedule. I think there's a difference there. So I always look at my calendar, and I'm kind of a freak, and I like color coding and Google Sheets, and I color code my schedule each week, and I copy and duplicate my schedule from the previous week. I fill in what I know I need, like masterminds and my education or whatever, and then I schedule in my non-negotiable. So my 3 hour of lead gen in the morning, it's kind of my platinum hours. That's, I have like platinum, gold. I know what those stand for to me, and I know what my priorities are first and foremost. Everything else is, if I have time for it, I'm going to get to it, but my priorities go in first. Again, I keep saying non-negotiable because that is just a fight I have with myself in my head. It's like, I got to do this. I can't make give myself an excuse not to do it. And then just figuring out what those activities need to be to achieve that priority that I've set in my calendar.
Fantastic, fantastic. I know I always say use every moment, right? And none of us stay in our houses 24 hours a day, right? So how are you using car time, right? If you use just car time, right? Jump on the phone and make 1 or 2 quick phone calls while you're driving down the road. It works really well. So, all right. So we know building strong relationships is crucial in real estate. How do you nurture and build relationships while you're juggling all these responsibilities that you have, and not just your work responsibilities, but life responsibilities when it comes to families and everything else? So, Teresa, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, I'm very relational person to begin with. So for me, building relationships is just how I live life. And but I'm not one, like I used to do the DTD2, and then I just kind of dropped off doing that. That's the do the database 2, where you call 2 different letters of the alphabet every week. And so, but what I do is when I'm driving, I do a lot of windshield time. So when I'm driving, if somebody pops into my head from my business, I call them. The other thing I do is, other than, of course, the events I do are huge for building relationships. So that's been a big relationship builder. But the other thing I do is if I see something on Facebook, a big life event or something going on in their life or they're stressed, I'll pick up the phone and call them. Hey, how you doing? I saw this on Facebook. Is there anything I can do? So I just kind of keep in touch. Facebook has been huge for me that way.
Love the book. All right, Carla.
See, I hate going last. Everybody's already stole all the money. No, I'm just saying. The DTD2, if you don't know what that is, there is a class, a MAPS class called Never Ending Referrals. And it's an amazing class. And I absolutely follow, still to this day, I follow the DTD2. So I have a select number of people every week that I give them my attention. It doesn't mean that I don't, I see something on Facebook. The other thing I want to tell you about Facebook, just for a minute, has anybody ever noticed that you get on social media and somehow you thought you were going to be there 15 minutes and you were there like 5 hours, whatever that looks like, right? Just mindlessly, whatever. When you time block social media at the end of your workday, you'll get off because you'll have to go cook dinner or do something like that. So it set a bookend at the end of your social media time. It will help. Just a trick or a tip. But yes, I follow my social media, but most importantly, I make sure that I am communicating with my database on a regular and consistent basis. I follow the 4 laws of the database all the time. So I am about a 50 touch program, and I use leverage. So I use smart plans in Command, which at Keller Williams is our CRM basically on steroids. And so there are automated messages that go out, but my automated messages apparently don't feel automated because that's the feedback I get from them. People say, oh, I thank you for thinking of me, right? That kind of thing. So be very specific. If you are at Keller Williams and you're interested in any of that, they're in the library. If you just search for me as the author, you will find a whole lot of really the 36 touch, the easy button is there, which does a monthly text, a monthly email. It sets them up on the neighborhood nurture, which if you're not familiar with what that is, it's just going to give them once a month an update as to what's going on in their neighborhood. And it reminds me of their quarterly calls that I need to make. So. Oh, and handwritten notes. I got to throw that in there. There's a basket next to the chair in my living room. And so when I'm just in my downtime and the end of the evening, I have a list of birthdays, people, things that are going on, and I'll just sit and handwrite notes while I'm just in my downtime, just sitting on the couch with the cats.
Love it. All right, Erin.
I am with Carla on the DT. D2 was pretty significant for me for a while. It really helped me mine in the database. Again, I joined a team, so I came in with a substantial database already to work in. I would say at this point in time, more similar to Teresa, I have kind of let the DT, D2 go a little bit, mostly because, sorry, I just shut this door. Mostly because it's too overwhelming. So I need to go in and refine it to kind of like my platinum people, as Karen was saying, to make sure I'm staying top of mind with them. And then also could incorporate some smart plans a little bit better, but probably more similar to Teresa in that I just do it more organically. When somebody pops into my mind, I send them a message or give them a call. I like handwritten notes. And then honestly just showing up as myself, and when I see somebody being like, oh my gosh, you've been on my mind so many times, I just want you to know that even though I don't reach out, I think of you often, and I get we're all busy, and most people are like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet, I hear you, I'm busy too, but just let them know that I'm thinking of them even if I haven't made that initial contact. Just goes a long way.
Fantastic. And Karen, for you, how do you do that?
Okay, like everybody else said, I'm last and everybody's taken all the good ones, but I'm going to reiterate because I am all about the handwritten note. I go on, it's called Redbubble, and you can find the funniest postcards on Redbubble, and I order a ton of those, and then I always just have them sitting there, and I reach out. I try to do at least, well, I say 5 a day. It's never 5 a day, but handwritten notes, I get so much great feedback. People are like, oh my gosh, I got your postcard. They text me right away as soon as they've gotten it. So I know that works. And I love doing it. I love doing that. I will say real estate, for whatever reason, it sounds a little hokey. I feel like I've become a better friend because I'm reaching out. I'm thinking about people more. I'm thinking about what their needs are before my needs. And I just drove by a house that I sold 2 months ago, and they had painted their garage doors and their front door black. It was beautiful. And I texted them really quick. Oops, sorry. I texted them really quick. I was like, hey, love the color, love what you did. Just saw you, haven't talked to you in a while. How are you doing? So just I'm creating ways to making up ways to get in touch with people. So I'll just randomly think of someone's like, how could I interact with them? Something's always going on in their lives. So I try to just, I do that. And my emails are really, I get a lot of great feedback from my monthly emails.
Okay. And the name of that postcard company was Red Bubble.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You think about scrolling through Instagram and how you get hooked in. You're going to have to put a timer on when you're looking at Redbubble, because they are so wickedly funny. And I just buy a bunch of super funny postcards, and then I just can like pull them out. They're darling. Then they're just something people don't expect. Yeah, redbubble.com.
So do you have one right beside you that you could put up? Like, do you have one that you could just pull out and show us what it looks like? I'm curious. I've never heard of this. Am I the only one?
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna run into my kitchen and grab them. My kitchen office is different than my regular office, but I'll run out and get it and I'll show it to you.
All right, cool. All right. Something new. I wrote it down and Stacy just looked across the room and went, okay, I'll order some while you're gone. Okay. So, so we talk about connections, right? And there's so many different ways to connect with people. So my question is, what are some unique ways that you have either connected with new clients or found a way to establish trust with those? So I'm trying to remember who went last. Oh, Karen did. Okay, let's do this. Let's go. Carla, you like to go first, so go ahead.
I love it. I don't know if this is unique, but this is so my, and I have a story to tell around it. So I'm going to tell you. Is anybody here go to the grocery store? Karen says no. Okay. Does
As
everybody
little as possible.
Does everybody here have either a Keller Williams shirt or a name tag or something, right? This is what this is going to require. So I have my name tag in my car, and before I go in the grocery store, it's just habit. I put my name tag on, right? It's a little magnet thing. I just put it on. I got my name tag on. I walk in, I walk around the store, and I always go to the longest line, and I never do the self-checkout, or I shouldn't say never, but rarely. My intention is never to do the self-checkout line. Funny story is this all started my very first, I got my license in July. I took Bold in October. Does everybody know what Bold is? Bold is this amazing boot camp style class that Keller Williams offers. It comes to my market center once a year. And I was dual career, and you had to have 20 conversations a day. And if you didn't get your 100 conversations in for a week, you got a foul. And I'm not a foul kind of person. Just telling you, I'm not going to earn a foul. I'm not going to earn a foul. So it's the night before Bold, and it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm leaving the office, and I need 6 more conversations. And I'm like, where am I going to get 6 more conversations in at 9 o'clock? And I had to go to the grocery store. So I thought, surely I can get 6 conversations in at the grocery store. I got to the 5th person, and somebody came up and said, ma'am, I'm sorry, we're going to have to ask you to leave. And I'm like, what? I wasn't being obnoxious or anything. Somebody sometime always is not going to like what you did. By the way, the guy that escorted me out to the parking lot, I sold him a house a year and a half later. He was a security guard. He was my 6th contact. So I made my 100 contacts. And, a tip here, if you're going to do that, don't go to the grocery store where you normally shop, because then they follow you around for a while. Just saying, just maybe don't go to your own grocery store if you're going to follow this, if you need that last bit. Anyways, but I've continued this. I have conversations on my name tag on. Somebody will say, are you in real estate? And I'm like, yeah, how did you know? And they'll go like, well, you have your name tag on. I'm like, oh my goodness, do I still have that on? I just put it on to come in, but that's okay. And then inevitably, what will they ask me? How's the market? Right? They're going to ask me how the market is. And I'm going to say back to them, the market's fabulous for buyers. They can pretty much, they have, they're getting great, whatever it is, I'm going to tell them about the market right now. It's great for buyers. There's great houses on the market. The market's still going really well. You can get a mortgage. It's all open back up. And then if sellers, it's still a seller's market. You can pretty much name your price as long as you're reasonable. And then I say, what are you, a buyer or a seller? Right. And last week I went to the grocery store. I was in a hurry. I was running in to get one item. I go through the you check it line. And while I'm standing there waiting for my thing, the lady that stands there that makes sure you're not stealing things walked up, and she said, hey, you're that realtor, aren't you? And I was like, yes. I'm thinking they're going to kick me out of the store again. I didn't do anything wrong. And she said, hey, you know what? I am getting ready to buy a house, and I see you in here all the time talking about real estate. Would you be willing to help me? So that's mine. Go to the grocery store.
I love that story. And wear your name tag. And I've also
Yes.
heard if you wear it upside down, it even gets people's attention.
I have heard that. Yeah, I've never done that, but I've heard that. But you got to stand in the longest line, and you have to start the conversation. You say, oh my gosh, I have never tried that before. Is that good? Right, whatever's in their cart. That's how you start a conversation in the grocery store and not get kicked
I love
out.
it. I love it. All right, Karen, coming back to you. One, to show us your sample of a red bubble postcard.
Okay.
And then to answer the question about the most unique way you've connected with a client or established a relationship.
Oh gosh. I'll have to think about that. Okay, well, so here's one of the cards. Sarcasm. I love salad.
That's
Okay,
fun. That makes people laugh.
Super cute. I like this because I used to have chickens. I dream of a better world where chickens can cross the road without having their, what is it?
Their motives questioned.
Motives questions. Yeah. Anyway, so they're just super cute. You can get just like a bunch of different ones. This one's kind of cute. I have something really important to tell you and your mailman. So just different, easy. Unique. What number was that?
It was number 9. Can you share any unique
Number
ways you've
9.
connected with clients or established trust?
Oh, yeah. So again, I love my super connectors. I think of who they are. I think of ways I can be a resource to them. I do Popeyes, so I will ask them like, hey, what do you want for lunch? I'll take the whole office out to lunch, or I'll bring something in for you. I love that because they're working hard, and I'm either using their services for something. So I love that. And then again, I do my quarterly mail outs for super connectors specifically with something of value. Maybe it's a gift card. It was like a face mask. It just depends on who I'm sending them to, but I try to just do something unique and different and kind of surprising them. They don't expect any of this. So my favorites are the Popeyes.
And in case someone doesn't know, what's a Popeye?
Oh, so a pop by is it can be anything. Like I said, I have this great group up here in Evergreen, and they're hardworking women, and I just pop by with something. So it could be just a bunch of snacks. It could be for them specifically. I asked them, where do you want me to pick you up lunch? So they sent me to the sushi place. I grabbed exactly what they wanted. I delivered it to them. I sit down and I chat with them, and we eat lunch together. So pop by can be anything. You could pop by your neighbor and just say, hey, here's some wildflower seeds. This came from my peony or my poppies last year, or whatever it is. You can be super creative and just, surprise them and excite them and just show them that you're thinking about them.
Love that. Love that. All right, Teresa.
So for me, I think connecting is incredibly important. When a new buyer, a new seller, when I sit down with them for the first time, I want to get to know them. And my goal is to find some common ground that we have. Our husbands are both Packers fans. I see Packers stuff on the wall. Oh my goodness, that's my husband's favorite team. Oh, he's not a Broncos fan. No, we kind of keep it quiet though, because we get in trouble if we tell people we're not Broncos fans in Colorado. But I always, anything. My kids sang in the Colorado Springs Children's Chorale when I had kids at home. I'm an empty nester now. So if I find out their kids are doing that, anything to have a common ground. And I really listen to people. Like I hear what they're saying. And then the next time we get together, I'll say, so how did your son's concert go? And they really feel valued because I made an effort. I'll write things down as I'm talking to them on the phone, what's going on in their life, so that the next time we talk, I can connect again with that. So that's, to me, it's like finding that common ground that we have in common. One gal, I walked up to her house and the doormat said, I hope you brought wine. And I went in, I said, I absolutely adore your doormat. And she said, you want a glass of wine? I said, no, it's too early in the day, but I'm bringing wine next time. So just silly things like that.
Love it. All right, finish that one off for us, Erin.
All right, I don't know that I have anything more to add than what these lovely ladies already said. I think just similar to Teresa, connecting, and also when I'm with somebody, finding a give and take between mirroring and matching them. And what I mean by that is, if that's somebody who's, kind of quiet, likes the facts, I'm not going to use my most chatty self. I'm going to get down to the point and I'm going to give them the information that they want. If somebody is a bit more engaging or wants to chit chat a little bit, or, you know, needs to talk, I let them do so and engage in that. So finding the balance between mirroring and matching, but also being true to myself and who I am.
Fantastic. I love that. Okay, so we live in a world of technology, right? And it's not my best tool or my best skill, but that's okay. What technology and tools do you use that you would consider to be a game changer in managing your real estate business effectively? So, Erin?
So I'm like you, and I am fairly like not sound in the technology world, but I would say the biggest thing that I use is, hey Siri, remind me at such and such time to call so and so. Literally, my Siri is like popping up. So I use my reminders on my phone for things. I use my checklist as well on my phone to do tasks. And other than that, I do use Command. I find that I tend to use it more when I'm in the office, but other than in Excel, some spreadsheets, but I definitely could up my technology game and would love to dive more into smart plans. I think it's one of our team goals this year. But yeah, honestly, just the notes and reminder section in my phone is probably my biggest lifesaver at this point in time.
Okay, I'm going to skip the technology person for right now. So, Teresa?
Well, this grandma is not very techy. I am tech challenged, so I leverage that piece. So I do videos, and I use BombBomb. I'm really proud of myself because I actually know how to upload it in BombBomb. I can do the email. I used to have a full-time assistant, and I lost her recently, and she was like, everything technology was her. But I just hired a virtual assistant. So that's my technology secret, is leverage it, because we use a lot. We use Canva, I use BombBomb, all of that stuff, but I don't do it personally. So that's
Okay,
my tip.
fantastic. And Carla?
Oh, I'm going to be all in Command. I mean, Command does some amazing things in addition to being just your CRM and the smart plans. Like, I just learned at Mega Camp that you can set up in your opportunities for your pipeline. You can set up your opportunity tags so that you would know who you think is going to close in January of 24, February of 24, March of 24. And you can just pull a list all the time of those when you do your lead follow-up. It'll do that for you. All the designs are already in there. I am not good at Canva. I am not good at designs or at, that kind of thing, the marketing materials, but they're already pre-made for me, and I can just easily switch them out for whatever I need them to be. So I'm just going to go all in on Command. And I don't know if everybody's familiar with this. If you're not super familiar with Command and you're at Keller Williams, that's kind of a requirement. So you're at Keller Williams to have Command. But the Marty Miller 66-day challenge videos, that's how I learned Command. So I'm not super techie either. Google drives me nuts. But these videos are just small little pieces that will help you put it all together and figure out, but it'll do it all for you. So
Awesome. All right, Karen, talk to us about what technology tools are game changers for managing your business.
I love Canva. Canva is a huge game changer. Anything from open flyers to door knocking little hangers, whatever. Love it. The main thing I use Canva for is my content planner. It's an app. I think it might not be on the free version, might be on the more premium version, but with the premium version you can brand your colors. So I've got all of my stuff branded by my color, so I just pop those in. But the content planner was a game changer. So you can create your social media posts or stories and you schedule them. So typically you want to batch all of your social media, pick a day, pick a couple hours, whatever it is, and you can schedule. So it's timed content. It goes out. And then if you're going to go deep, then you figure out when is the best interaction time on both Instagram and Facebook. And when do you need to post them? So it's 11 a.m. on Monday through Thursday on Instagram. And I believe it's 9 a.m. on Facebook. Those are when my people are checking their accounts. So that's when I post, but then I can time content it. My other big thing is Google Sheets. I am all about Google and Google Docs, but Google Sheets, again, my schedule, if you want it, I'm happy to send it to you. It's really detailed, again, color coded, and you can just kind of fill in your own timing blocks. And then my other one, I just learned from a client of all people, no, from an inspector. We were out at a house that we were under contract with, and my clients were like, hey, I wonder where the property lines are. And of course, you know, I have the MLS sheet. I can kind of identify where the property lines are. It's there's an app called ONX as an X-ray hunt. It's a hunting app. I'm not about hunting at all. However, this identifies your property line. So for the hunter, they're on not on private property when they're hunting. But it shows the boundaries of the property line. So you can be walking it with your clients and see exactly if there will never be a pin up in the foothills. We don't have pins, we don't have stakes, we don't have fences. This will show you where the property lines are. It's amazing. Jody Dolph, I know she's on the call. I know her husband uses this app. I'm sure of it. But anyway, huge game changer. Now you're the expert. You don't have to say, I don't know. I'll have to check into that. You'll know right away. I'll put it in the chat.
So that was ONX, right?
NX Hunt.
Oh, Hunt. Okay. All
Um,
right.
You just sign up for a free trial and then you can pay for the premium, whatever. But I would definitely just try the trial and see, walk your own property line, and it's lovely.
That is awesome. I'll bet it would get my townhouse perfectly correct. Okay. Real estate markets fluctuate. I think we've all seen that if anyone's been in the business even this year, right? They've changed even from the beginning of the year to where we are now. So my question is, how do you stay informed about what's happening with marketing, with the market trends, and stay top of mind, or keep that so you're aware of what's happening, and you're a dual career agent? What are your where are you reaching out to find information? So Karen, I'll start with you.
I use RE Colorado. I pull stats from there and I post either monthly or bi-monthly some specific stats I choose for, like days on market, average price, whatever. I do an advanced stat pull out of RE Colorado. I attend every single mastermind, so I'm listening to KW experts in our office, in our marketplace, and what they're learning about the market, having conversation with my lenders and my title companies just to kind of get a sense from them. And then I'm finding that title has a lot of great market information. And then on top of that, a couple of great podcasts that I tune into constantly when I'm in the car. I'm always doing something real estate minded when I'm just sitting and listening to podcasts.
I love that. And so for those of you outside the Denver metro area, RE Colorado is our local MLS. So utilize your local MLS to, the data that they put out as far as what's happening. So Teresa, how about you?
Can I ask Karen first, what podcast do you listen to?
Oh, I have a great one. It's called Level Up. It's Greg Harrelson, and he's in North Carolina and I believe South Carolina. I've just found him and he's amazing. Level Up. And then there's another one, Pursuing Freedom. She's out of Winter Park, Colorado, and she's great. I've been listening to her for ages. If I think of any other ones, I'll look in my list and I'll throw them in the chat.
Awesome, thanks. So for me, I do a Friday facts video every week. So on Thursday, I do it on Thursdays, but I put it out on Fridays, and I get into my MLS just like Karen does. Mine is PPAR, Pikes Peak Area Real Estate. So I go in there and I get active on markets. I have a whole list of the stats I get. And so I do the same stats every week, and then I say if it's up or down. And I went a month without doing them because of my trip to Germany. And then it was really interesting to see what things had done over a month. So when I sit down with people, I automatically know what the days on market currently for your price point, days on market right now. It used to be 4, it's now 30 to 40 days average. So setting expectation. My office has a lender that does the state of the rate every month. I never miss that. It's phenomenal. And one of the owners of one of our local title companies, Bill McAfee with Empire Title, he does a monthly market update, a whole hour on video, and I never miss that. Those all keep me kind of up to date on what the market's doing and where it's going here locally.
Fantastic. All right, Carla, how are you staying on top of what's happening out there?
Well, first of all, I have a podcast to add. Everything Life and Real Estate. It's Linda McKissick, who owns the Ohio Valley region. If you don't know who Linda McKissick is with Keller Williams, and this is not just a Keller Williams thing, Dana Gentry, they have an amazing podcast called Everything Life and Real Estate. So I highly recommend that. Amy says she's on board with that too in chat. She loves that one too. It's so good. It's not all about market statistics. It's a lot of different things. It's everything life and real estate. One thing that everything, put it on your calendar, like set a time, have a system around this. Do you do this Monday morning? Do you do this whenever? Go on your MLS, look at the numbers, write them down. I love what Teresa said. You got to know how they've changed. You have to not only know the numbers, you have to know what they mean. I teach the agents that I coach to check bankrate.com. That's a really easy way to get the interest rate, because that's another thing we need to know, right? What the interest rate is. So this is part of my win the morning, win the day. This is my first thing I did when I sat down at my desk, is I checked the MLS. I saw how many listings went on last night. Then I asked myself, why didn't I have one of those? Then and then I looked at how many pended, right? And so that way, if somebody had this belief that they have what they hear on the news, right? I knew what the facts were, so that I could share with them what the truth was. So that's what I always wanted to make sure I knew. You ask yourself, do you know enough that somebody's going to call you up and you're going to know the answer, that you could be their economist, their real estate expert of choice? That's what you have to do. And it's not a whole lot of information you have to know to be that.
And I love the fact, even as a dual career agent, you looked at how the market changed on a daily basis, where a lot of people look at it on a monthly basis. So having your finger on the pulse.
Seconds.
Yep.
Bookmark, right? It's a bookmark, and it was a search that I had set up in the MLS that all I had to do was look at it, and it told me this is how many listed, this is how many sold, this is how many pended. I knew it, wrote it down, move on.
Love it. All right, Erin, what do you use to understand the market while you're juggling two careers?
Same as Carla, I use our MLS. We have it. It's called a hot sheet, and same thing. It shows the new listings. It shows price changes, pendings, under contracts, and then close. And so I check those daily, often multiple times a day, to see what's coming on. One, it helps me see what's available for my clients and buyers, especially when the market was like, first in to see it, first in to get an offer can really propel you forward. So that was really beneficial. But then I could see like, okay, so there's this house, and then I would have my own opinion of, is it, what do I think? Does it look like it's listed, appropriately, not appropriately? Is it high? Is it low? And then I'd kind of follow it and see, okay, it's pending. This is about how long, and then what it would close at. So I would really kind of, I guess, interpret or evaluate the data in the MLS partly myself. So that way, when I'm talking to people, if somebody isn't specifically numbers focused, I can be like, yeah, if a house is overpriced, it's taking, roughly about this long, and this is kind of where it's ending up. Or, this house was underpriced, and, they ended up at this level over asking, because I've taken and I've absorbed that data. And then can say, most houses are being, under contract typically now within a couple of weeks, depending on where it is, versus, 2 or 3 days or even 1 day prior. So just really studying the MLS. And then also I would say that one of the biggest podcasts that I really enjoy listening to is the Ninja Selling podcast. If I realize this is a Keller Williams mostly focused mastermind, but if some of the Keller Williams programs seem slightly overwhelming to you because there is so much, which is great, I highly encourage you to check out the Ninja Selling podcast and book. They break it down in a little bit of a different way, but I think the principles are still the same. And it literally is like a guidebook of what to do. And it talks about, phone calls, warm lists, cool lists, notes, and all of that. And so they actually have a podcast. So they talk about trends in different areas and different markets. So I appreciate that and what some of the agents that they coach are seeing, as well as, what value are you bringing to your client? And sometimes the value isn't necessarily information. It's, hey, how are you? I'm bringing value to you by caring. And that was something that struggled for me because I didn't always know all the stats, data, and information isn't always the thing that I love focusing on. I care about people. And so it was really encouraging to me to know, like, I may not be able to bring you the exact average day on market or list price, but I can bring value to you by asking about you and caring you as a person. And then I can find all that information out later if they want to have that.
I love that. I love that.
I'll type it up podcast into the chat.
Perfect. Thank you. I love all the information sharing. I'm watching the pens. Like I can see a handful of people and it's like people are writing like crazy. I love it. One of the local, if you're in the Denver area, the title companies are great. I follow and listen to a lady by the name of Megan Aller, Aller. And yes, I love her too, Teresa. And she is probably the biggest data geek I have ever seen and met. And she studies the local real estate market here in Denver, and she knows the trends. Like she studies things. Yes, she studies things, and she has stats to prove that the spring market starts in Denver 2 weeks after the Denver Broncos' last football game.
Yep.
So if the Broncos do really well and make the Super Bowl, it's going to be a late start this year. If they do like they have the last several years, it'll start in November. So anyway, my point is that find that person in your area who knows it really well. Megan does a weekly call, and she now has joined forces with Nicole Ruth from one of the lenders. And that woman, from an economist point of view, is brilliant as well. Here's the beauty. I can never go live to those because of the time of day that they hosted and what my calendar has. But if you register for that, you will get the recording. And here's what I love. I get my elevator speech directly from Megan's email, right? I'll never forget in the spring of 2022 when things were crazy. And she gave us this stat that in Denver, you had to drive past 1,000 homes before you'd find one for sale. Do you know how much leverage a snippet like that can get you in a social environment? Okay, so if you're not from Denver, find someone like that. If you're in from Denver, I highly recommend you can get her information on Facebook and how to register or reach out to me. I also see Debbie DeWitt here. She's probably got that information as well. So let us know how we can help you. All right. Networking. And we have different kinds of networking, but we're going to focus on, in general, it is essential to real estate. How do you find time, again, as dual career, right, to network and collaborate with others in our industry? And I really want to hear, and for you guys to think back to when you were almost full-time in your other career. And I just read a chat, so it distracted me. It's Ruth, R-U-T-H-E, Jeff. Let's go with Teresa. How do you network when you're dueling it?
When I was a dual career agent, I'm going to go back to my default. Everything had to just fit into my life. So networking was just everywhere I went, everything I did. Church was a great networking tool for me in those years, letting people that I went to church with know that I was an agent. Networking within the real estate industry for me has really been teaching that class. I get to know so many people within the real estate industry, and I really tied into my productivity coach. Again, I just want to give all you productivity coaches a shout out. I have done coaching. I have been a coach. I'm not currently, but that's like a lifeline. And my rookie year, all the agents that were in my rookie year in my office were all still friends. We bonded so strongly. We used to, when I still lived up in Denver before I moved down here, we would have happy hour together like once a quarter, just everybody from that rookie year. And now that I've moved to Colorado Springs, I'm actually an agent for them buying their investment properties down here. So that's kind of been fun, but it really just had to fit into my life. Everywhere I went, everything I did was about networking, and I didn't have a lot of time for real estate networking because I was working.
Awesome. Okay, Carla, how did you network and stay connected and collaborate with other people in the real estate world when you're dual careering it and solving property taxes?
Well, I'm all about what Teresa said, right? They say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with, right? And I wanted to spend time with successful real estate agents. And so I had a place on my calendar. It was actually on Wednesdays for coffee. So I took an hour break from my job, and I went to a local coffee shop and I invited other agents to come have a coffee with me. And that way I could learn from them. I could learn from them. That's basically what it was. And it was fun, and they enjoyed it. They had 4 or 5 agents that would come, and they're still people that I am closest with. Also, I would say that, social media, right? You can find other agents that are in a similar situation as you on social media. In fact, we have a social media group for dual career agents. So I'll put that in the chat, and you guys are all welcome if you're a dual career agent and you'd like to join and be in community with other agents from around the country that are dual career agents. You can do that as well. But you got to find your tribe, you got to find your community. And that's what I would say, is make sure you find some people that you can spend time with, that you're going to grow with.
I love that. And I'm going to plug your Ignite at Night at the end too. All right, Erin, how did you, when you were cutting hair, stay connected with our peers and network with them?
Well, it was easy in some ways because some of them were my clients. And again, I can't maybe stress enough how being part-time was really beneficial to me in that, because I had a couple days during the week that I could do, I felt a little bit more free to engage. But I would say certainly wine dates, lunch dates. If something was going on, I had my the agents in our office and just like, hey, can I run this by you? Can I check in? Or I would just be open about how I'm feeling, or maybe some of the things that I'm struggling with, or just needing some validation on, or like, can I bounce this off for you? And so it's a willingness to be open and have that conversation and be vulnerable, that I don't know what I'm doing, or I just could use a little bit of support, and also picking their brains of like, gosh, what worked for you, or this is what's working for me, or this is my struggle, to find that camaraderie. So yeah, lunches, wine dates, breakfast, kind of just fitting it in when I can, and then just making it a part of my life.
And I just have to double check, did I hear blind dates? BLIND?
Oh no, wine.
Okay.
Wine. Yeah. No, that's not really my style. I don't like to mix business and pleasure at the same time.
I don't know. There's a friend of mine that I think maybe 1 or 2 of you on this call might know, and she talks all the time about how much she grew her business when she was single and used Match.com. So, all right. And Debbie started laughing because she knows exactly who I'm referencing. So, all right, Karen, how about you? How do you find time to network? Oh, you answered this one, didn't you?
I haven't
No.
answered this one, but
Okay.
I'll be very short because I'm probably not as good at it as I should be. But truly, it's in-person team meetings. I think it's super important and better to be in person if you can be in the office, so that you can hear conversations and then start conversations. And then looking for mixers. And I forget who said it exactly, but really just reaching out and asking, hey, do you want to go for a coffee? I've done that with a bunch of different agents, and I love doing that, getting to know what they're doing, what their struggles are, and I can share mine with them. Just connecting on a one-to-one basis. I think that's awesome.
Love
Can
that.
I add something, Margaret?
Absolutely.
Can I add something? When I was full-time in my job and I couldn't be in the office. And some of you may be in that situation. So you can't go to the team meetings. I couldn't go to productivity coaching. I did once I became part-time, but I used my office Facebook page and I loved interacting there. It was really my only interaction with the office. And people would ask questions, people would answer questions. If I was stuck on something, I could reach out and say, who can recommend a plumber? Well, I had all of those resources because I was in construction, but I need a good inspector. My inspector's busy. And that's how I really connected. They all knew me from Facebook before they knew me in the office.
Yep. Social media is a huge, huge, huge one, right? And what I loved hearing from several of you was go to the office, right? Thank you, COVID, for the gift of Zoom, because we can do this with my friends across the country. And many of you are not from Denver Metro, right? It would have been kind of hard to fly in everybody to do this. However, Zoom, if you're only Zooming all the time, is very lonely, right? So finding that time to go into your offices or go into a coaching session, and even if it's not all of them, but engaging with the other people. So I love that. Okay. So this is, I want a specific. What specific group or organization has been particularly beneficial for your career, and it cannot be your market center? Because that's what you're all going to say. So I'm just going to take that one away, right? So Carla, for you, what organization or group?
You know what? I'm going to say it's my friends, right? I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but we've talked a lot about your database, your sphere, the people that know you, like you, trust you. And this was my 50th birthday present to myself. I called it my midlife course correction. And I shared with all of my friends that this was really important to me. And this is actually, I didn't know what was important to me because I didn't even know this existed. But at the time, I was all in. I wanted to be a real estate agent. And I shared that with people and I asked them for their help. So I'm going to say that don't be a secret agent and ask the people that already know you, like you, trust you to help you. Give them the gift of allowing them to help you, because that's where most of my business came from when I was a dual career agent, and how I was rookie of the year as my friends and family jumped in as my business partners and helped me. They helped me find people who needed my help.
Love that. I love that you refer to it as a gift that your friends and family can help you, because it really truly is. And people want to help people. That's what we're all about. So, okay, Erin, what would you say, what specific group or organization has benefited you the most in your career?
I've heard people have had a lot of success being on boards. I haven't delved into that part of it yet. It doesn't necessarily speak to me. So again, I kind of have to go back with Carla, just my sphere of influence. I would say has been probably the best organization. And honestly, the other agents in town have been really beneficial as well. And podcast, the Ninja Selling Podcast. I know it's not like a local group or organization, but it really does feed me. I like listening and absorbing information that way. So I don't have a super awesome answer other than, I guess, just using what's around you, maybe not being afraid to go to an invite to an event that you didn't necessarily really want to go to, or it's a new group of people, or whatever that may be, whether it's a board or a birthday party, or we all have those days where it's like, oh, I really don't feel like doing this. And you got to listen to yourself, but also maybe push yourself outside of that and just see it as okay, maybe who am I going to meet? Make a game of it in whatever avenue in life. So.
Awesome. All right, Karen, what organizations?
For me, because you took out the most obvious, and I want to plug the coaching program, it's been so incredibly helpful. The accountability piece is so helpful, but aside from them, I would say, what we have here in the Denver Metro or the Mountain is MAMAR. It's Mountain Metro Association of Realtors. And that's where I go for a lot of information, education, my designations. I'm trying to get my CMAS right now. So Colorado Mountain Area Specialist. So you can go there and figure out what designations are needed. So lots of education and stats and information and community too. Groups that you can join and expand your business, which I'll be looking into more and more.
Fantastic. Teresa, how about for you?
Well, I'm privileged to be invited to be part of the peak producers here in the Pikes Peak region with one of our title companies has put this group together, and it's the 100 agents that are in the top 10 of its volume, its number of units sold. And so I, for the last 4 years, been a part of that organization, and they have mixers where they bring in like the water board that talks, and they talk about water rights in our area. We do Zoom meetings with the mayor where we get to know what's going on in the city. And so if you can get a part of anything like that, you get some insider information on what's going on in your city, what's going on in your region. We also have panels where they have some really, really top tier agents, some of my heroes here in Colorado Springs that I look up to, and they'll do like a panel with just one or two of them, and they ask them questions, and we kind of get to sit at their feet and learn from them and ask them questions. And I found that really valuable because it's all the different brokerages, not just Keller Williams.
I love that. So the title companies, right? Going and taking classes, like find a class. Maybe you go once a quarter to a class that's being hosted by your local realtor association. Because I know like down here, DMAR and Smedra do a lot of classes. Going to classes that are hosted by your title companies, where you'll get to be around other agents that are not just in your home market center. Okay. And then you're right, the community, get involved in your chamber of commerces. If you are heavy in your particular city, go to the chamber meetings, right? Go to the Lions Club meetings, go to the Optimist meetings, right? Those people are community focused. And as agents, understanding what's happening in our community. Here in Arvada, where I live, there's a new community about to be built. And I'm already hearing questions. What do you know about Trailstone? What do you know about Trailstone? What do you know about Trailstone? I got to know what's happening in Trailstone, because how can I be the local expert if I drive by it every day and I don't know? Right. So those types of things. So awesome. I love it. Okay. The original question you all saw said the word some, but I'm going to change it to one. And it is, what is one of the biggest challenges you faced or currently face as a dual career agent, and how did you overcome it? So one of the biggest challenges you had, because these guys are all dual career and they want to know what you faced and that you got through it. So, boy, I see all of you like going, what am I going to say? All right, Carla, what do you got? Start us off.
I think the biggest challenge that I had, and I probably still have to some degree, although I work on it on a regular basis, was my mindset and the stories that I told myself. So I was 50 when I got my real estate license, and being a rookie of anything at 50 is kind of, it doesn't feel normal, right? It doesn't feel normal. I was at the top of my profession, and then all of a sudden I was this brand new agent that had everything to learn. And so I had thoughts in my head like, who's going to want to work with me? They're going to want someone younger. They're going to want somebody who's done this. If they're going to hire somebody my age, they're going to want somebody with experience. Like I had all of these thoughts. And I'm going to say that my productivity coach was how I worked through it, because she asked me really powerful questions that helped me self-discover why I was actually the best person to help my friends and family and my clients with their real estate business. So if any of you guys have thoughts in your head, like, who's going to want to work with a dual career agent? They know I have another job. They're going to think I'm whatever. You're telling yourself stories, and you need to find somebody to help challenge those stories so you can rewrite the way you think of it. Because for me, until I could believe in myself, it was really going to be hard for me to be successful. So that would be my piece.
I love that one. And as a coach, that we sure work on mindset a lot. So I love that. Teresa, biggest challenge you had and how'd you overcome it?
So I'm going to piggyback on Carla. One of my biggest challenges is I was working full time. Somehow I just got a lot of buyers right off the bat from sphere calls and such. But buyers are so time intensive that I was running myself ragged. I remember driving down to Colorado Springs because I was building down here every evening one week. And when I was on my way home, like the fourth evening, I was just so tired. And I called my husband. I said, I just want to cry. I'm so tired. And I thought, why do I not have listings? Every time I would go to get a listing, one of them they signed with me, but then they canceled because their family was falling apart. I was like, what is up with that? And I realized, like Carla said, I saw myself as a buyer's agent. I was comfortable in that role. And I think it's because I watched House Hunters. So I could see myself showing homes. And so I did not see myself as a listing agent, and I had to change. And what I teach is that you'll never rise above the internal image you have of yourself. And my internal image was one of a buyer's agent. So I have a thing that I do I had to convince myself that I was a great listing agent, because your life is just a giant projector. Whatever you see yourself as, you're projecting onto other people, and other people did not see me as a listing agent. And when I changed how I saw myself, even my productivity coach is like, what is going on? You now suddenly have 5 listings. And that shifted. Probably it took me about a month to shift that, but it's something that I do. I call it the law of meditation, and what you meditate on, you will manifest. So that was a huge game changer for me.
All right, love that. Karen, how about for you? What's the big challenge that you face and how are you overcoming it?
At the beginning, it was a big struggle. Again, I feel like I have 4 careers. And I remember talking to my coach about it. When is it going to happen? Like, you get into real estate and you're just chugging along and you're doing all of your duties, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and still nothing. I'm not working with a buyer, I'm not working with a seller. Like, when is the real thing going to happen? And you do question. It's like, it doesn't seem like it's going to. So as soon as one little pebble starts rolling down the hill, it just explodes. And so my advice would be, just keep your head down, keep believing in yourself, remember your goal, why you did this to begin with. Have confidence that you're going to achieve your goal, and just keep your head down and just do the work. Just keep showing up, do your work, do what you need to be doing, and it will come. It will come.
I love that. Okay. Erin, your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest challenge was, it's an interesting phenomenon, because while I was busy, right, and trying to manage everything, and you feel like you're constantly working, there's still this conversation in your head, like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? I'm doing all these things, but am I doing enough? And I would say that for me, having people around me that did, like, yes, you are doing the things. It does just take time. Like, you have to build it. But for me, how I guess what I would encourage anybody who is in a dual career, if you want to stay in that, make sure that you're able to perform both careers to the level of integrity that you want to be working in. Or working at, I guess I should say. I found for me that I was fine joining a team that definitely propelled how busy I was, but I found that I was no longer able to provide the level of service to my salon clients and to my real estate clients that I really wanted to. And so it was a huge leap of faith and belief in myself to do just real estate. I had also recently become a single mom, and, was now supporting myself and my family on just my income. And so I think that worked on some of my drive. I had to succeed, but I also recognize that I didn't want to go out and have my salon client say like, she really should have left like 3 years ago. And I didn't want the real estate people to be like, well, she's really great, but she's hard to get a hold of because she's spending, too much time in different arenas. And I guess I honored myself enough to know that I couldn't function at the capacity long-term to be at the level that I wanted. And so I had to let one go and believe in myself. I would say having financial reserves definitely helped with that, which is something that maybe we haven't really talked on. But if you can be in a point, if you do want to switch to just not being dual career and just have a real estate career, have a nest egg of whatever number feels comfortable to you. But there is something about that gives you a lot of freedom. So when you have a slow month, you don't dip into scarcity mode. You can still stay in the like, nope, I'm doing the things, it's going to come. And you don't have the extra stress of like, but how am I going to pay my mortgage, or how am I going to pay my rent, or, do whatever I need to do. So that's my biggest thing is, and tying into everybody else is mindset, but also giving yourself permission to let go of one if that's where your passion is.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. So we're down to 2 questions because we're like 20 minutes to go. And I know that there's probably a ton of questions with everybody that's on the phone that they're dying to ask you guys. So my first one is, what advice would you give to the individuals that are here who either are currently dual career or considering being dual career? What advice would you give them? Erin, you kind of started it.
I know. I'm like, oh, I'll do it. Find a mentor. Find somebody either in your office or a productivity coach, or, and just let that person know that you like what they're doing and how they're operating, and see how you can learn from them and mirror them and watch them, and and see what they do and see if that's going to fit with what you want to do, if it's worth leaving or stepping out of the career that you have to join into real estate. Find somebody that you want to mimic and shadow them, or ask them to shadow them.
Awesome. Karen?
I would say do a lot of soul searching, do a lot of deep dive as to what you want. Why do you want to get into real estate? Really figure out why. What is that to you? What's your goal? Surround yourself, and I love what Erin just said. I mean, a mentor it's huge. Pick somebody out to gain their insight, someone that's been in the business, and then I would say just be ready to commit, be ready to do the work. It's a lot of work, but there's a ton of reward as well.
I love that. I love that. All right, Teresa.
I have to just go back to mindset, because it is everything for a rookie. If you convince yourself that no one is going to want to work with you, like Carla said, because I was 55 when I started. So I had to get that drug monkey right off my shoulder. And so just to take thoughts captive and not let them take root in your head that you can't for any reason. And you have to take that thought and you have to turn it around. What I like to do is, like when I said I can't get a listing, like I was believing that about myself, and just to say no, and this is where the little superhero came from in the Zero to Hero, is I am a listing ninja. Listings fall down out of the sky into my lap. I am the best listing agent. Everyone wants to list with me, but I had to convince myself. So that's, to me, there's nothing more important than you seeing yourself as a successful real estate agent up front. Just know that you were built for this. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and you're going to be amazing. But the only person you have to convince yourself of, that is you. You don't have to convince the buyers. You don't have to convince the sellers. If you convince yourself that you're going to be amazing, then you will.
Love that. Carla?
My first piece of advice is to take all these fabulous ladies' advice, because they are all straight on point. And from me, it's going to go back to where I started, which is your schedule. You have to figure out how to fit being dual career in your life and make sure you still have a life. So figure that out. Figure out what your schedule is for your family. Figure out what your schedule is for your other job, and then figure out what's left over. And then remember that the things that you choose to do, they have to be concentrated. So you have to be very purposeful about the time that you spend in real estate to make sure it's going to get you to your goals.
Love it. Okay. So if you could say anything today to yourself on day one as a dual career agent, what advice, what strategy, what do you wish you would have known then that you know today as successful dual career agents? So let's go with Karen.
Time block. The bomb. Yeah, if you do that, you're going to be super successful. I wish that I had recognized at the beginning I didn't have to try to do everything that everybody was doing. Do not compare yourself against other people and what they're doing. Think about you, what your goals are. You stick to your goals. Doesn't matter what Margaret's doing. You're going to get there, your own goals. Stick to that. Again, schedule your priorities. Don't prioritize your schedule. I think that's super important, and be really intentional with your time.
I love that. Schedule your priorities. Don't prioritize your schedule. That one was deep, Karen. I'm writing that one down.
Borrowed from a podcast that I listened to, but truly it's these little nuggets. Like, I get nuggets from 20, 50 times a day, podcast in the car, allowing myself to take up the first half hour of my day to learn something. I think it's super intentional. You figure out what those priorities are and do them, and don't. Yeah, I think that's super smart. It's just something I'm starting to integrate myself.
Love that. Okay, Teresa, former rookie of the year.
I think for me, it was that I wish I had not thought I needed to know how to do everything, know all the technology, know how to input a listing, know how to write the listing contract. That was part of my stuff. I knew how to write a buyer's contract, but I was intimidated by those other things. So just do your lead generation. I wish I had done that. I wanted to learn everything before I started lead generating, and that was a mistake. So lead generation.
Awesome. I have to have all the answers before I can be asked a question, right? All right, Erin.
Mine is it doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect to do it. So just do the damn thing, to be honest. And and know that you have people around you to help you. I mean, that's why we have a broker, right? Is to make sure that we, don't legally get ourselves into trouble, but just doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to do it. And even if it's just a small step, you just got to do it.
I love that. I do remember that quote when we were in Albuquerque together of Erin saying, just do the damn thing. So that made me smile big time, because I was like, oh yeah, I remember her saying that several times for 2 days. All right, Carla, what would you tell yourself if you were to do it again?
That when, I know, I'll tell you what it is. It's when they tell you you get your first deal, you don't just spend all your time on your first deal, or you have to start the slowly then suddenly all over again. I heard it, and then when it happened and I got my first deal under contract, I stopped doing everything and I focused on that deal, and then I had to start all over again. And so I actually don't like roller coasters, because I'm 50. I liked them when I was young. But even if you're young, this isn't the roller coaster you want to go on, right? I didn't want to be on that roller coaster, because I was trying to transition from a full-time career with a paycheck into being my own business owner. and I needed a consistent income. And if I didn't do the job that got me the income consistently, then I wasn't going to have a consistent income. And like most lessons in life, I had to fail forward and learn it the hard way. And it took me 2 goes of it before I finally realized, look, my coach is right. What if I just kept this space on my calendar and I kept doing my open houses? Yeah.
Just keep going, right? Just keep doing you. So, so this was great. So I hope you guys have a bunch of questions, because I'm going to allow you all to start asking these 4 amazing people questions. But Carla, before we jump to that, so you obviously have a passion for dual career. I've known you for several years now, and you have taken the lead to, on a national level, provide some support to our dual career agents. And I've heard it called many different things. I know there's a Facebook association with it, and that you also incorporate one of the key foundational educational series of Keller Williams called Ignite. So can you share with us a little bit about what happens, when it is, and how, if I'm a dual career agent and I can't go to Jody's version of Ignite up at the foothills, how I can get at least involved in your group? So can you give us just a few minutes on that?
Yes, and it doesn't have to be in addition or in the exclusion of something else. You could watch the videos or do the local Ignite. You could also come to Ignite After Dark. Ignite After Dark is on Tuesday nights, and I've put this in the chat. So it is, what time? You guys are on Pacific?
We're everywhere. So you just give us a time zone and I'll convert it.
Well, it's all converted in the chat. So it's
Okay.
6:30 to 8:30 Eastern, because that's where I am. That's what I'll tell you. And then you can convert from that off of there. It's a Zoom link. It's on Zoom. You're going to be with agents from around the country. And it is Ignite is a series of 20 classes. And the 20 classes are designed to really A to Z, everything that you need to know to be successful in real estate, combined with some action items. Our instructors for Ignite After Dark are productivity coaches from around the country. And whether you're Keller Williams or not, you're welcome to come. What makes a successful Keller Williams agent makes a successful real estate agent. So it's open for everybody. One cool thing that we focus on at Ignite After Dark is creating referral relationships with each other. So we're creating a tribe of people that not only can support and help each other, but can also refer business to one another. And there is a Facebook group. You're welcome to join the Facebook group, and I've put that in the chat as well. And I had a mastermind a couple of months ago, and we had a few people show up. And I think in the 4th quarter, we're going to do some more masterminds where you can come on a Saturday and just get into breakout rooms and talk about a topic. Maybe it's how do you do a successful open house, and everybody can come together and mastermind on that. So yes, every Tuesday for the most part. There's a couple Tuesdays when we're at family reunion or mega camp that we don't. And it is a series of 20 classes, but you don't have to start at the beginning. Each class stands alone, so you can pop in at any time. So we'd love to have you on Tuesday.
Fantastic. Thank you, Carla. And I know Jody and Kelly and I from Foothills and Castle Rock and Arvada, we host every Saturday from 9 to 11 a dual career coaching session. We're going to incorporate more things like this because I think maybe y'all liked it. So, but feel free, if you're in one of our 3 market centers, join that. The links are on your office calendars. If you're not currently with one of our 3 offices and you go, I like what that crazy lady in red is talking about, join Jody and Kelly and I, and we will absolutely love to have you there. So enough from my questions. What are your questions? Who's got one? Take yourself off mute and ask away.
Margaret, I don't have a question, but I did want to make a quick comment, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
Mostly thank you to everyone who's been talking. You've given me so much food for thought. Here are a couple of takeaways that have been super helpful for me. One is be mindful of your schedule. which I'm going to go forward with that. Know your work hours, schedule your priorities. I think that's super important. I loved that if you do your work, it will come. Thank you for that boost. I appreciated it. And this idea of loving on your super connectors seems very smart to me, because I don't have a lot of time as I step into a dual agent or dual career role, but I do have a couple people in my life who I know are constantly striving to help me. So loving on them, I think, is going to be great return. So thanks for those ideas.
Love that. Thanks, Stephanie. All right. Who else? They answered all your questions? I love it. Okay. Was this something you guys would like to see again? Put a thumbs up on your screen. Give me something if this is something you want us to put back together again. Was it beneficial? Okay, I got some comments. I see a few. All right.
I
I
have
love this
we will-
podcast.
Oh,
I
go
love
ahead.
this podcast.
Jeff, go ahead. Re-ask your question.
Oh, it wasn't a question. I just said I love the podcast suggestions. They're great.
Yes. Okay, Erin, go ahead.
One thing that I want to mention is I know we touched on lead generation a lot, and one thing that really helped me is to print out a weekly contact sheet and carry it around with me. And that way I would write down how many I have done, and that way I could see how many I had hit, how many need to go, instead of just keeping a mental tally in my head. I actually had concrete evidence of where I was in the conversations that I had. So yeah, a 50 count weekly contact sheet was super helpful to me.
Fantastic. All right. Anyone else?
I do have a question. Everyone
ahead,
briefly
Elena.
touched on stats. What do you recommend are some of the top stats to try to keep up to date on?
Panelists?
Market statistics for me are, I wanted to know the interest rate. I wanted to know what the inventory looked like. I wanted to know if that had changed significantly, the number of houses in inventory. So those were the big ones for me. That's what I checked every morning.
Right. And I have a MAPS coach. I again think coaching is so incredibly important. I've never not had a coach, and I owe a lot of my success to that. But the days on market, what is the median price or the average price in your market? How many listings compared to how many are going under contract, those ratios, how many months of inventory do you have? So those are the things that a seller or a buyer are going to want to know, are the stats that I concentrate on. And days on market is huge for sellers, average price for buyers. And then I also look up how many showings have been done in the last month on any given price range, so that I can give the expectation to my seller of how many showings they should expect in our current market.
So Teresa, how do you do that with the showings?
Oh, I learned this. It's so cool. You go into showing time, which we have here in the Colorado region, and you do it through your MLS. You use the link out of the MLS, and then you go to reports, and down the very bottom report is on that list. I can't remember what it's called. You can look up showings per price point. And
Awesome.
you can put the number of days, like in the last 7 days in the last month, you can set that up. So it's a great
Fantastic.
resource.
Yeah, that's a good one to understand the number of showings, right? I know for those of us that are listing agents, right? Some of our sellers still think that you can put a house on the market and 2 hours later you're gonna be under contract, right? And the reality is that's not how it is today, right? And so having that data, you'll also find that I go back to going and listening to Megan Aller, right? And she has those stats. In Denver, part of our challenge is some agents use showing time and some agents use broker bay. So getting that information where somebody's already consolidating and it's that, depending on the size of your metro area, your market might be different. right? If you look at the greater Denver market and and then you try and compare that to maybe downtown Denver or just Lakewood or Aurora, it's going to be different. So if you specialize in a certain area or a certain zip code, make sure you know that as well as the generics.
And you can do that in showing time. You can say what area you can specify.
Yep. And honestly, you guys, if you're gonna, your friends, many of us don't have everybody that we know is in the city that we live in. Right. And so I find myself a lot of time in conversations that what's happening nationally, right? Is the market different in different parts of the country? So it's very fascinating to get into those.
Margaret,
Great question.
One thing too, for me, I like the price increase and price decrease. I like to have like a couple of little snippets or nuggets to just like throw out at a party or something. So recognizing that we're seeing so many price decreases right now, this is the market we're in, and we've only seen like one increase. And then I like the ratio of list price to close price, just to see like, are people pricing it correctly, or are buyers at a little bit better of an advantage? And then the other thing I really struggle with, as I'm not a fan of median. I'm a fan of average. So average instead of median, home price, the average of all of the properties versus the one stuck right in the middle. I don't know. I think it gives us a better understanding of what's real. That's just my personal preference.
All right, we have time for one more question. All right, ladies, thank you so very much. This was amazing. It exceeded all of my expectations. And I knew it was going to be powerful. And so I can't thank you so much to giving up your part of your Saturday to be a part of this. I know that we all greatly appreciate it. Again, if you're part of education in your offices, Carla teaches an amazing time management. Teresa's got zero to hero. And Aaron, I don't know if you or Karen have any classes that you guys teach, but these guys will come, right? So if you need their contact information, let me know. I can get you in touch with them and bring them into your market center. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate all of you. Go make some new friends, go be a better friend, and have a fabulous weekend. We will talk to you soon. Yes, Teresa.
Send me a Facebook friend request.
Yep. Friend us all.
Thank you, everyone.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
Margaret.
you.
Thanks, Margaret.